Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today we're going to be talking about how to set up and play Circadians First Light 2nd Edition. But before we get to that, I just wanted to briefly give you guys a good visual of how everything fits back in the box. There is a great example right here on the very first page. Let me just slide this over. It tells you, where everything should go. So this should be pretty straightforward. There is mostly a spot for everything. But just in case you guys are visual learners, here you go. So on top, just kind of resting on top of everything is, of course, the rule book, your player screens, and then this bad boy here. It seemed like this should fit in there somewhere, but it doesn't. So this is kind of like the last thing you want to put down along with the player screens. And everything should lay flat below it so it doesn't get bent up. I will note right now at the beginning that I have taken the punch boards that came with the game and placed them under the insert. So underneath this plastic insert are the empty punch boards that I punched out that pushes everything up. Usually you want to do this if there's no lid lift on your game and there's a storage solution like this. You want to put them under there so that way it pushes everything back up to the lid and stuff's not going to shuffle around as much. These aren't going to be at risk of like bumping and cracking open or something like that, or the cards are all going to stay put. So next up, we just have our 4 player boards. On top of that, or below that, we have our planet board. And then below that, we have our depository. So these don't necessarily have to go in this order. Just the planet and the depository should be your first 2 things to lay down out of the big pieces of cardboard. Then you have all your smaller worker placement sites, and below those is a tray for your dice. And I went ahead and put the rover tiles, harvester tile or token things there. I've kept the dice in the bag for right now. You could just leave them loose in there, but I also could have shoved these over here or something like that. I don't know. It doesn't bother me to get out the bag of dice. I usually dump all of them, collect what I need, and then put the rest back. But anyways, your choice. These are pretty self-explanatory. These are for all the individual colored resources going around the outside. And here in the middle, I'm sorry, not in the middle. I guess it's kind of in the middle. Here is all of the pieces that, are just kind of random, that aren't enough of them to justify their own baggie or anything like that, and are fine to just be loose. So, these are the gem caches that you're going to put around the board. Here's your first player marker. If you're playing solo, you're going to want these 3 tiles, and then the player specific power tiles beneath those. And then on top are the markers for the negotiation board. All that fits nicely under there. Then you've got all of your farm tiles here and all of your ship tiles here. You do kind of have to tip them just a little bit. You don't want them standing straight up like this, or else they sit above this level. And whatever you put down right here is going to hit them. So make sure you do kind of tip them over like that. Down here you have easily enough room that you could put these all on one side. It's pretty close, but you can see there's enough room for sleeving. There's plenty of room around these, so if you're a sleever, have no fear. Here is your player power cards. I really don't understand why they're just sitting up like this. And these, why they didn't just make like a slightly larger cutout here, deep enough to fit these, and then fill it in on top. I don't know. Or you'd put the smaller one deeper and put the larger cutout on top. And then you have these 3 here, which again, just kind of sit here and just kind of tilt. It's odd. I don't know if maybe they are thinking that there's going to be an expansion or something that will fit in this space, but it's just kind of a weird space that doesn't really fit anything. Anyways, and last but not least, another tip I always have for people is to hold on to these silica gel things, especially with cardboard like this. If you live in the southern regions like I do, humidity is horrible, and so you want to keep your board games as dry as possible. But that's going to do it for our reboxing of Circadians First Light 2nd Edition. Stick with me here. As soon as I get this all put back together, I will get this all spread out back onto a board, onto the table, and we will go through how to set up and play the game. So yeah, let's do that now. Okay, now that we have taken a look at how everything is stored in the box, let's take a look at how to set up and then play the game. So I'm going to cover kind of general setup for everything, whether you're playing solo or multiplayer. All of this is going to be added in. And then I'll cover how to set up what you need to do for the solo AI, which is very, spoiler alert, it's very simple. Okay. The first thing that they tell you to do in the rule book is easily the most fiddly part of setup, and that is setting up this planet board here. It has very much terraforming Mars vibes to it. But you're going to set the planet board up, and then these tokens that have all been flipped over the wrong way. You're going to take these and you're going to shuffle them up face down. They all have this exact same face on them. And give them a good shuffle and then toss them back in those locations at any random spot. So during the game, they're all going to provide the same benefit if your harvester is there at the end of the game. So they're all going to give you a gem and an additional worker die. But at the end of the game, all of these are going to be flipped over, and if your harvester has ended on one, which is advisable, you are going to get a certain number of victory points. So they range anywhere from 4 to, it's either 8 or 9, I think. So you want to randomize those, and then you're going to look at the map here, and everywhere where you see a small resource symbol in the upper point of the hexagon, you will take, and so for example, a gem goes here, a gem goes here, 3 water go here, and this is always going to be the same. The board is the same no matter whether you're playing 3 or 4 players. These spots are not randomly placed out there, so once you get used to putting them here, it should go pretty quickly. But these resources, the first player to move over through one of these spaces or onto one of these spaces will pick up that resource, and then it's gone. It is not replenished. The rest of the resources that are printed with the plus signs, those are the resources you will gain during the harvest phase when your harvester, which is this little thing right here, is sitting there. I'm going to cover all that in the how to play section, but just so you know, setting up the board here. The second most fiddly part here is probably the negotiations board. This simply lays out here. It's kind of an odd-shaped board, and you're going to take these 3 clan leaders, and they're double-sided. And so you could randomly choose which side is going to be up, and each one gives you a slightly different effect here that you're going to gain anytime you go and negotiate with that faction. But green's always going to be on the left, blue, and then red. Then you're going to take all of these cylinders here and fill up all of the spaces on the left-hand side. That's really the only fiddly thing about it, is just getting all those in there. Okay. Then over here, we have all of the kind of community boards that you and other players, including the AI, can go to. So you have your depository here, as well as the headquarters. This is all one board, and all of these, you want to make sure that the board is flipped to the proper player count side. So you can see, for example, the mining camp, this is solo specific, then everything else is 2 to 4 players. The academy, to my knowledge, is the same on both sides, but all the rest are different. So the depository is here, and then the headquarters is here. You're going to have your contract cards here in a shuffled up stack, and you can see that as part of setup, I've already dealt myself 5, chosen 3, and discarded 2, so room for a discard pile. Over here on the headquarters, these are your event cards. There's 1 for each round, so this is also the timer for the game. The bottom one here is always this yellow one, end of an era, reveal all hidden gem caches. And so that's again where you would flip all these over. People can all of a sudden see who's got the best, which corner has the best VP, and maybe or maybe not you can make it. Otherwise, you're going to take all the other event cards. You're going to always place this one on the bottom, so it's the last one. Then you're going to take all the rest, shuffle them up, choose 6, and place them on top, just like that. All right, these boards are just laid out, and then you're going to take all the ship tiles that look like this on the back. Now there are a couple, for example, my leader here, his special ability is actually just this ship tile. So you'll notice that the backside does not have that ship on it. It has his picture. So there's a few tiles like this that have a different back, and they stand out pretty much. But basically you're going to take all the ship tiles, shuffle them up, create 3 equal stacks, and place them all face up in these spots. Same thing with the laboratory tiles, which have the plant on the back. And that's it as far as the public areas go for this worker placement game. There's nothing that goes on any of these. Then on your individual player board here, these are all exactly the same. There is no difference. On the back side, however, is the differing bots. So you can see that Crux, the insane level bot, is on the back of my board, because I have no fear I was not going to be playing him anytime soon. So on the back side of Zio here is a board that looks just like this. So you're going to take your board, and normally you would not have this ship token. The only reason I have this ship token here is because of my leader. And so you're going to have all these empty spaces, all these places to put dice. That's all fine. You're also going to either do a draft, which is easily explained in the rule book, for your 3 contract cards. Basically, you deal out 4 to each player, and you choose one, pass it around, choose one, pass it around, choose one, pass it around, and then you discard the 4th. So you always start with 3 contract cards, 1 leader card, which again, you pass out 3 to each player, they choose one, you put the rest back. And then 2 electricity resources, 4 algae resources, and 15 water. I guess these are energy. So 15 water, 4 algae, 2 energy. And 3 dice in your player's colors. You can see that I am the blue player, so I have the blue harvester, and the bot is the black player playing with the black dice. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the setup. You're going to want to make sure that you have the rest of your player dice. You should have 13 total set off to the side somewhere, easily to reach, as well as having the resource trays that come in the box that we've already looked at off to the side somewhere. And you are ready to play. As far as the bot is concerned, it is very simple. You're going to choose the difficulty level bot, place it face down, and then you're going to take these 3 tokens here. Each one has a different number of stars, and just place them over the matching number of stars like so. I'm not 100% sure why these are in different spots or why they're not in order, because it really doesn't matter which card they're over. But anyways, you're going to place these tokens down. You're going to take 3 dice. It does not matter what the pips say, but fill in these first 3 spots with pips. Actually, no, this guy gets a 4th spot. There you go. Boom. He starts with 4 dice. And then you're going to take the AI deck of cards, give it a good shuffle, and set it off to the side. And that's it. Also, you want to make sure that your bot's dice are off to the side as well. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you are set up and ready to go for Circadians First Light. Okay. So as we start to talk about how to play the game, let's first look at our individual player boards. At the beginning of every round, you're going to start by flipping over the top event card. You're going to flip it over, read aloud to the group what it says, and that's going to give you either a benefit or a negative aspect that everybody has to deal with for the round. After you've established the event card, everyone is going to take their dice and roll them. And generally, in a multiplayer game, you are doing this behind one of the screens. The screen's nice because it's got, player setup, round overview, and endgame scoring. And you would just, kind of set this around your person like this, roll your dice, and all of the rest of these next steps you would do behind your player screen. I've removed that so you can see more easily. So let's just say, for example, this was my roll. Now I need to decide whether or not I'm going to send these dice, and each one on an individual basis. Oops. Either I'm going to send them out into the, all the worker spaces, or I'm going to keep them on my player board to work in my farms, strictly gaining resources. No one can block me on my own spaces and my own farm spaces. So this is the easiest way to get resources. But all the other stuff is done by sending dice out and competing for worker placement spots. Now, as you decide which dice are going to go where, maybe you're thinking, ooh, I really want this die to go to the academy, and because I can pay water to get here, for example, if you have a 1 pip, you pay water to get a die. Say you have a lot of water, and this is how you want to get more. The academy is new recruits, and these are your recruits. Or maybe you really want to go this direction on the planet, and so playing a 1 would work out for you. But the trick is that the order in which you place your dice, so let's just say we go this, this, and this. It's not a very good roll because generally higher numbers are better, but the order in which you have now placed them is the order in which you have to send them out. So the first die, when it's your turn, that you have to send out is your 1. The next die is going to be this one, the number 2, and then the last die is going to be the 3. So it doesn't matter which one of these lanes you put them in. Okay? And if for some reason you ever had said, okay, I really want to send this to the foundry, and I'm not going to pick it up, but the foundry only has 1 spot, at least in a two-player game, solo or 2-player game, and that foundry spot gets taken, you have nothing else you want to do with this 3 die, you could always take them and move them over here to the cantina, getting you +2 water. It's basically giving up on the die, but at least you're getting something out of it that you otherwise couldn't have used. So the order in which you place them, and again, all of this is being done behind the screen, so it's in secrecy. The order in which you place the dice is hugely important, because starting with the first player, they will take their first die, place it out, then it will go around the board, and then everybody will place out their second die, starting with the first player, going around the board, so on and so forth. If you happen to have more dice than the other players, which can happen after the first round, you could recruit more at the academy, or there's other ways to get dice. Then you would just keep going. If say you or one other person, you guys would just go back and forth until you have used up all of your dice. Now, this is how most everybody's player board is going to look at the beginning of the game. You have 1 ship here, and then the rest of these are like Land Rovers, just standard garages. But then you've got your cool ship, which is in your first one. Every time you have a ship in these locations, which you can see I've already upgraded this garage with Ul Katal's ship, but say you come here and you also upgrade eventually down the road this one and this one. Okay, that means that sending these dice from these lanes are going to get benefits. This one here you can change the value of the die up or down. So in this case, since it's a 1, I can only go up to 2. But if it was a 2, I could go down to 1 or up to 3. This one here, when I send this one off, and remember, this is my special die. This symbol here, the line through the water, means that I can spend 5 less water on the action I'm about to take. This other one also means that I don't have to spend the algae, which you can see up here, that it costs to send out your die. And the last one here means that I could flip this over so I could make a 2, a 5, and so on. This one, just gives me 5 water reduction on my action. And if I say spend energy on my action, that's wasted. And this one, again, I can ignore this -2 algae. So as you upgrade your home base here, you will be giving yourself benefits for sending your workers out in specific lanes. Now, I briefly just touched on this. As well as setting them out in order, you also, and sending them out and paying whatever resources you need to pay to take said action, you also have to pay to ship them out. So here, 1, 2 algae piece, and then 3. These can again be negated by ships like this. All right, but there's also ships like this one that give you a symbol, but also a VP for the end of the game. Or some have just nothing on them but a really nice big fat VP. And we'll discuss how to get these ships here later on. Okay, so you have rolled your dice out, and then you've secretly behind your screen decided where you're going to line them up and send them. This also includes whether or not you're going to put them in your farms. So you could decide, oh, I only want to send out these two. This guy I'm going to keep back here because I really want to get more electricity. So you would put him in this slot because this slot you can farm either water or electricity. In this one you can farm either water or algae. In this one, any die you put here, any pip number you put here, allows you to add +3 to these pips here and any others that go down the line. So it's a way to boost this, because if you look here at this table, the higher your number, the more of any particular resource you're going to produce. So remember, I told you rolling high in this game is beneficial. So the higher you roll, the better. If you decide to put a 6 here, then you would either produce 8 water or 2 energy. Whereas if this was a 1, you're producing no energy and just 3 water. So again, being able to add 3 to all this, and if you go, say, above 6 to a 9, you would just do the 8 plus 5. You know, you would add 6 plus 3. These dice here are not, you do not do anything with them. You do not harvest your resources until the harvest phase, which is the 3rd phase. Okay, so right now we're in the planning phase. We're hidden behind our stand here, and we're planning out where our dice are going to go. Okay? All right, so let's zoom back out here and discuss the 2nd phase, which is execute. So once you have everybody around the board has determined their order of their dice and where they're going to go, so I'm just, for example's sake, I'm going to put that there. All right, we reveal. So you remove your screens, and now again in player order, starting with the player with the canteen, which is it's a little cardboard canteen. Where is it? Here it is. I don't normally need it because I play solo, but this is it right here. So whoever has this starts, places their first die out, goes around the table, then the first player puts out their second dice, so on and so forth. So when they're in the garage here, that's when you're going to send them out to any of these spaces off of your own personal board. So let's quickly go through, I'm going to start over here on the right side, what those spaces do. Okay, starting here with these smaller locations. The control room. All right, you're either going to have to spend 2 energy or 10 water. It's your choice, unless, again, remember, if you have, say, this, you're now only paying 5 water. But whatever pip you place here, and up to 3 people, even in up to 3 dice can be placed here, even in a solo game. Whatever pip you place here, that's the direction you're going to move your harvester. All right, so if you were to play a 1 here, you have to move your harvester up to here. I moved the wrong one, but you get the idea. So your harvester always moves 1 step at a time for every die you place here, and the direction it moves is based on the pip number. Okay? So this one, it really doesn't matter whether you roll high. You want to roll the direction you want to go. All right, the foundry here. You have to spend either 2 energy or 10 water. Also, the pip number that's showing is showing you which column you can choose from. So if I really wanted this ship, I better play a 1 or a 2 here. That would work. If I play a 1 here, I can't pick this one up. I need a 5 or 6 here to pick this one up. And these are all random. But it does make a difference. So you put your thing here, you pay your resources, and you pick up your ship. You always place your ships from left to right. Okay? In the market over here, you can place a die, and the number of pips is the number of trade actions you can take based on this table or this table, and they are different. So you can see this one has water involved, this one does not. This one has gems involved, this one does not. But if you place, say, a 6 here, you could exchange 3 water for 1 energy up to 6 times. The laboratory is a little unique in that you actually have to place 2 dice and they have to equal. So this is the only time where you get to place 2 dice out at once. So say for example, it comes to your turn and no one else has played here. You could take 2 dice, the first 2 from the left. You can't just take this one and this one. You would snag up both of these and place them here, but that doesn't match. So again, the dice have to match in order for you to even go here. But remember, we can adjust. So we could go 2 and 2, boom, boom, boom. They match now, and it does not matter what the pip count is. They could be 1s, 3s, 6s, it doesn't matter. As long as they match, you then pay either 3 algae or 10 water, and you get to pick any tile you want. So unlike the Foundry, where you have to pick in your lane based on your pips, this one you get to pick any one you want. All right, you take it and you place it into your farm row from left to right. Some of these give you ongoing benefits, like this one, every harvest phase you're going to get 3 water. This one allows you as a free action per turn to take up to 2 trade actions. And this one here, if you place a 6 pip die here, it only can accept a 6 die. You get 2 more worker dies for the next season. And there's a whole bunch of other ones like that in these stacks. The Academy here, you place a die in one of these rows that matches. So 1, 2, 3 goes here, 4, 5, 4s and 5s go here, and 6s go here. And depending on whether you want 1 new recruit or 2, you pay that much in the particular resource. So if you have a 1, you can still get 2 dice, but you're paying 10 water with a 1 pip. Or if you put a 6 here, you can get 2 dice for 3 energy. And then last but not least is the mining camp. So the mining camp is a way to get gems, which are the most coveted resource and can be spent on a lot of things, including, you know, like contracts here. This one takes 1 gem, but they're also worth 1 point at the end of the game. Just 1 clear point for every gem you have. So you can go to the mining camp and either go for 2 gems or go for 1 gem. If you go for 1 gem, you're going to take 6, in this case, x equals 6, and then you're going to subtract the number of pips on your die. So if you put a 6 die here, it's free. No water cost. You get a gem. All right, but say you put a 2 here, 6 minus 2, there's a little bit of algebra on this sheet, would be 4. You have to pay 4 water to get your 1 gem. So over here, all the rest of these, the resource cost is very clearly stated. This one, it's a little bit of math involved based on your pip count. So if you want 2 gems, you're looking at 16 water, but you can reduce that number by, say, a 6, 10 water gets you 2 gems. So these are all spaces here that when you place a die here, you're blocking off the other people, and you're immediately going to get these dice back during the rest phase or at the end of the round. Up here and the negotiations board are a little different. So let's look at headquarters first. So headquarters, not only does it hold the place for your event card, but it also allows you to place a die here. Say, remember how we weren't sure earlier in our scenario whether we were going to use this 3 and we just stuck it over here at the cantina? Instead, you could place a die over here in the headquarters, and you have to place them 1, 2, 3, or 4, the lowest number open, and it just stays there. It does not get retrieved during the rest period, but at the beginning of the next round, you always pull dice from the headquarters first. So this is a great way if you know that you're going to be last to go. Say you're playing a 4-player game and you are the first player this turn, so this is going to pass, and you're going to be last in the next round. But you really want a specific action. You want to make sure nobody takes it from you. You could go to the headquarters first, secure this spot, and you know you are going to be taking the first action of the next round. Okay, based on your pip number. So whatever you rolled over here, that pip number needs to stay the same when it goes over here, and then the next round you're working off that same pip number. So this is a way to bypass, the headquarters is a way to bypass standard turn order. But again, you're going to go first, second, third, fourth. Once you've picked up all the dice that are over here or maybe over here, Then you go to player order and go around the table. When you play the die out of here, not when you put it in, but when you play it out, you get to pick up either 2 contract cards or you can get 5 water in hand. And last but not least, the first player to put their die here, say you take a 1 and place it here, the first player and only the first player can flip-flop their die if they so choose. So a 1 could become a 6, or even a 6 could become a 1, or 5 a 2, so on and so forth. All right? So where was this? This was a 3 here. Next to the headquarters is the depository. And assuming, just real quick, assuming you play this out of the headquarters and you put it, say, in the control room because you really wanted to move your harvester. At the end of the next rest period, this one comes back to you. All right? The depository is where you are going to go when you are ready to complete a contract. So say I have 4 algae and 3 energy in hand, and I would like to make my, if you look here, this symbol is for the depository, which is a little tricky. Let's look at this one. This one's better. So say I have 6 algae and 2 energy ready to spend, and I would like to get the Drayak drill. What this is going to do is give me an ongoing effect that all mining actions at the mining camp cost me 5 less water. So say I put a 1 pip here, I could get a gem for free because the 1 minus 6 plus my minus 5 bonus makes that free, or makes the 2 side very much cheaper. So when you are ready to fulfill a contract, you're going to take a die, and it does not matter technically what the pip count is. All right? As long as you have the resources to pay for your card, you take it over here, and what does matter with your pip count is which column you're going to place it into. So say I take a 3 and I want to use my 3 die to fulfill this contract. Fine. Doesn't matter. That just means I have to place my die into one of these 3 spots here. If you say put your 3 here, your bonus is going to be to move your harvester. If you put it here, your bonus is going to be to get a new worker. And if you put it here, your bonus is going to be 2 contract cards. Okay? You'll notice there's no column for 1s, and only 2s are available in a 3-player game. All right? The trick is that when you place a die here, it's locked there for the rest of the game. So as the game goes by, these spots are going to be filled up, and even you yourself may end up spending a lot of 3s and lock up this whole thing. And that means any future turn, you cannot spend a 3 to go to the depository. The 3 bank is filled up. Or if you fill up all of this row, you cannot gain the benefit of moving your harvester by going to the depository. But you place a die there, it's locked forever. You pay your resources, and now this can go next to your player board or wherever, and you're going to get this VP at the end of the game and this ongoing benefit. Last but not least is our negotiations board. This is the other place where if you place a die, it is locked there for the rest of the game and no one else can take that spot. So this is the biggest way to get victory points in the game. This way and your contract cards. There are other smaller ways, but this is the biggest. Okay? If you have the resources to spend, you're simply going to take your die, take one of your dice, and place it in whatever row and whatever column you so choose, as long as you have the resources. So if you wanted to go here, which is 12 VP at the end of the game, you can place a 2 there, that's fine. You better have 5 gems. If you don't, you can't go there. All right, so depending on how much resources you want to spend is where you place your die, and it's going to be increasing in victory point value, and then that die stays there. And then 2 things are going to happen. One is you get to look up here at who you negotiated with, and you get to take their special action immediately. So in this case, I could swap the position of any ship tiles on my base. So if I had this, and I really wanted this one to be first for some reason, boom, there you go. Otherwise, you cannot normally shift them around. All right. This lady here, and these are double-sided, so there's different stuff on every side. This lady here allows you to peek at 2 of these. It can be any 2 you want. You got to remember. So maybe you could, if you found the 9, you would head in that direction. but everyone else knows you peaked too. So anyways, so you have placed your die down, paid your resources, and then you get to take this action. The second thing you're going to do is come down here to the bottom of the negotiations board. And this is bonuses. This top row here are bonuses that you can gain if you're the first person to play that pip count. And down here are negatives that if you kind of push things too far, you're going to take negatives. So say I'm the first person to play, I place a 2, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to pick up this 2 cylinder, pick it up from the left, and then I can choose anything in this plus column on the right since I'm the first one to go here. And say I really want a new, I want to get a laboratory tile for free. Okay, so I would place this there. Not only is that meaning that anybody that plays a 2 in the future will not get a bonus, but it also means nobody can gain a laboratory tile bonus. Okay, so as the game goes on, these are going to start to get picked off here, and maybe at the end of the game you really want a bonus. Well, you better have a 1, 2, or 1, 3, or 6 to be able to play up here. The last thing you're going to do, and this is only going to come into effect as you start to see multiple dice at each negotiator's spot. So you could overplay your hand when you're negotiating. You could push too far. First people to go there are just, testing out the waters. But this is a push your luck element. So say the AI goes here, and I really want to come in here with a 4, because a 4 hasn't been played yet. Okay, and we're like really getting energy for some reason. In this case, after you have looked up here, you need to look down here and do you meet any of these criteria? So in this case, I do, because beforehand the total value of pips here was just 7. By me placing it here, it's now 11. So I actually I am equal to or greater than 10. Yes. Am I equal to or greater than 8? Yes. So I actually meet the criteria for both of these. At this point, you need to pick one, and you do get to pick. So you could say, all right, I want to get the 10 out of the way, or maybe, you want to go ahead and get the 8 out of the way. Doesn't matter. But you need to pick up one of them, and you have to place them over here on the right-hand side. And this, you're going to lose. So if you were to put this here where the laboratory symbol is, you actually have to kill a laboratory. You have to blow it up, remove it from the game. Here you have to remove a ship tile. Here you have to move your rover back towards the center, which, little tip for you, can sometimes be beneficial. All right, here you have to lose a gem, here you lose a worker die, and here you lose 2 contract cards. Now let's say, for example, it's later on in the game and you have completed these 2 and this is the only one you have left. You cannot go here unless it's the only option left, because you cannot fulfill that negative. All right, you cannot say I'm going to go here and not have any contract cards to give up and be like, oops, oh well. You have to choose one that you can actually fulfill unless all the rest are taken. Okay, and you'll notice here that 2 of these spots are equals. So if I went here and this die wasn't here, and then the AI came after me, or somebody else came after me and also played a 2. Now, we're way less than 8 and 10 and 12 and 15, but the numbers are equal. The pips are equal. So one of these would have to be picked up, and that person would have to choose a negative. All right, so that is all of the places explained in as much concise detail as I could come up with that you can go to in the execute phase. And that, again, is all of your dice in your garage slots here go out during the execute phase. And remember, you have to pay algae, except for this first one. You have to pay algae, and then you have to pay where you place. So in this instance, algae and energy or water. In this instance, it's algae and gems to go here, or algae to go here, so on and so forth. Depository, you have to spend algae to go out, and then you have to spend whatever's on the card. So lots of resource spending, which is why we have a harvest phase, which is next. So during the harvest phase, you're going to collect resources from any dice that you place down here. Now, I did have one down there. Also, you're going to look at your harvester, which has been going out and farming the land automatically. Wherever your harvester is, you get those resources as well. So if you don't move your harvester, you're going to get one of each. One energy, one water, one algae. Okay, but let's say you move it right here and you're the black player. When the harvest phase comes along, you're going to get 2 algae and a new worker. Boom. And 2 algae. These are both big ones, so ignore the size of them, but there's 2 algae. All right. As you'll notice that as you push out to various regions, the further to the edge of the board you get, the higher certain values get. Also, the water is all located near the river here. All of the algae is in these lowlands. All of the energy is up here. And all the gems are mostly pushed out. So you could be very lucrative and come up here and get, what is this, 3 energy and 6 algae if you push your harvester all the way out here, picking up these gems along the way. And if you happen to be on one of these outer spaces, you're going to get 1 gem and 1 worker every harvest phase. And if you're here at the end of the game, you're going to get whatever VP points are at the bottom. Okay, so that's the harvest phase. You can gain harvest, or you can gain resources from your harvester, from dice that you have placed here. So in this case, you would get either 5 water or 1 energy, and if you have a constant benefit farm like this, you would gain that 3 water as well. Also, I believe there are some contract cards that may give you a constant harvest bonus benefit. All right, so that's the harvest phase. The last thing you're going to do is rest, which simply means you're going to return all your dice to the lower part of your player board here, and all the dice that were over here basically. Anything that's on headquarters, depository, or negotiations stays out there. Negotiations is just for a turn. Everything else is locked for life. Okay? And if for some reason you are at more than 5 dice or more than 8 contract cards, you have to discard down to 8 and or 5. All right, you do this during the rest period. You also are going to pass the first player marker clockwise around the board. And that's it. You're ready to start a new round. So you would flip over an event card, read it out, then you take your planning phase behind your screen and start this whole process all over again. I know that took me a while to cover everything, and it seems like there's a lot going on here, but it actually is very fast playing. At least the execute phase is very quick, because at that point you've basically gotten all the analysis paralysis out of the way. You have a plan, and hopefully you're going to be able to go right to where you wanted to with your die. You have to go in order. You've already thought this through, and so you go, you take your action, boom, it's the next person. And what's nice about the analysis paralysis phase, the planning phase, is that everybody does it at the same time. So unless you have one person in your group who spends twice as long as everyone else, generally everyone's sitting there, they roll the dice, then they're thinking about it, and then everybody's ready roughly around the same time. So there's not a lot of downtime in this game because everybody gets to plan together. And then the actions during the execute phase are very quick. All right. So we just talked about how you as a human player would play. Let's talk about how the AI plays. They are very simple. Most of their complexity comes in, or their increased difficulty comes in how they score end game conditions. Or in this case, you can see like Xiao here, he actually starts with 4 dice, whereas the easy one only starts with 3, which is technically what you're supposed to start with. You cheater. Anyways, what you're going to do on your turn, during your planning phase, the AI does nothing. So when you're rolling out your dice, or you flip over your event card, then you roll out your dice and you make all your decisions, nothing is happening over here. All right? But before you then take your execute phase, you need to take all of his actions. So all of his actions are done between your planning phase and your execute phase. The first thing you're going to do is going to flip over 1 card. Place it right here. This is going to do 2 things. First thing you're going to do is move the harvester, and you're going to move it in the direction that this die on the card shows. So in this case, it would be as if the AI went to this location with a 5, and so in this instance, he's moving left, straight left. The trick with the AI, however, is that anytime they move, they don't stop moving until they hit a gem. So in this case, they would stop here, they would pick up this gem, boom, goes on their card, and they've stopped. Okay, so if they're way over here, and their next card they play that moves their harvester is a 2, they're going to go all the way over to here and pick up that gem. Okay, so they always move their harvester, and they always move it at the beginning of their turn, picking up any gems that they plow over along the way. All right, so after they have moved their harvester, then the AI is going to take 2 actions, and usually always 2 until certain things happen. So with this same card, what you're going to do is start at the top here, and you're going to decide, all right, it wants to go here to the Drayek and negotiate with them. Can they negotiate in any way, shape, or form? Let's pretend he did gain this 1 gem from his harvester, but he only has 1 gem. It takes at least 2 to get up here and negotiate, so he cannot do that. So then he's going to go down here, and he's going to go to the academy, and he's going to gain 2 new workers. Okay, so you would take the first die from the right, kind of working backwards with the AI. You're going to take the first die from the right. It doesn't matter what the pip is up here. It just happened to match this time, but let's just say it was up here like this. You would pick it up, you would flip it so it matches the die on the card there, and then you're going to take that, and in this case, you're going to go over here to the academy, and you'll place it in the 4 or 5 slot. In this case, he does not pay any resources. He just simply takes 2 dice, and they go right here. They'll be placed up here during the rest phase. If he, say I had filled up all these spaces or for some reason, then he would try and go mining. He would just simply put a die there. It doesn't matter the pip in this instance, and he would gain 1 gem. Okay? Then, after you've figured out his first action, you would flip this over. You do not move his harvester the second time, which is why, that's only why this symbol's here. You simply do, though, look at the pip number, and then you go down from top to bottom. Can he negotiate with Zakaro? Well, at this point, you may notice, well, wait a minute, Zakaro deals in energy, and Zio here doesn't have any energy. He seems to only be working in gems. That is correct. The bot, the AI, only deals in gems. This is the only resource that they care about, and the only one that they will ever collect other than their dice. So, when a bot wants to negotiate, they simply take these numbers of gems here and imagine them going all the way across. So if he wants to negotiate with the blue faction, Zakaro, there, he at most would need 2 gems to go here to this first spot. All right, 5 to come down here, 5 to come down there, and so on and so forth. So in this case, he would not be able to do it. So then here, he's going to go to the laboratory. All right, you could take your thing, flip it to the 4, but the laboratory also doesn't matter what dice he has. And he actually just places this here. He does not pick up a tile. Okay, he just places that, blocks you off from it, but what he does do is he gets to upgrade his board. So you'll see that he gets a plus and this little symbol with his face and the arrow behind it. So you would look to see, all right, I still have my 1 star on the board. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to flip it over. That's 2 points for the end of the game. And during every harvest phase, he's going to gain 1 gem. After that, he would gain an extra worker every harvest phase. And after here, he's actually going to deal a 3rd card out. So after he's upgraded 3 times, he would actually start doing 3 actions on his turn, each of which is going to earn him 2 victory points at the end of the game. So ideally, you don't want him taking the laboratory action very much. All right, so let's put that there, and that there. Now, back to a normal turn. All right. So he's taken his 2 actions. He has been able to go out and do his thing before you even get to take any dice actions. But generally, even if he has extra dice still left up here, he's only taking 2 actions. And if you want to ensure you can get ahead of him, if you go to the headquarters, you resolve the headquarters before the bot goes. So you can still ensure yourself going first by going to the headquarters. And to my knowledge, I don't think the bot ever goes to the headquarters. I don't think they have a card that ever sends any dice to the headquarters. So that's your way of ensuring that you can get ahead of the bot, is to play a die in the headquarters. All right. So he plays, he or she, there's some female, some male, this one's a male. He plays his dice out. Then you get to play all of your dice out, and then we move to the harvest phase. You have your harvest phase where you're collecting from here and mostly from here. What he's going to do is he's going to return all of his dice during his harvest phase. Okay, and so he would pick this one up, and he places them from left to right. So we took them off from right to left, but he's placing them back in this order, from left to right. Okay, and he's going to gain any gems or any dice. So he would pick these up here and place them out like so. Now, let's just say, for example, during the rest phase, and it honestly does not matter a whole lot. As long as his dice stay out while you're taking your execute action, you can know all of his stuff at the same time. So you return all his dice, leaving the locked ones out. And then you're going to look up here to the board, the top of his board, and you're going to say, okay, how many dice does he have? He's only got 2 dice. So in this instance, during his rest period, and I wish they put a little like rest, the word rest here with 2 colons or something, or an arrow. In this case, you would say, all right, here's my last die from left to right. He gets another die. So there we go. If he had put a bunch of negotiations or the depository recently, he's going to reduce his number down. If he's down to 1 die, he's going to get 2. If you'll notice, this ensures you that he's always got 3 dice to work with, which is pretty much what you are generally going to have. They recommend you always having 3 dice to work with, so he's always going to have 3 dice to work with. But say he's able to bring back at least 3. Instead of gaining a die, he's going to gain a gem. Here he's going to gain 2, and if he's brought back all 5 of his maximum dice, he's going to get 3 gems during the rest/harvest phase. Again, just collecting up his gems here, and you'll notice that some of these cards have negatives, so that means he loses. So if he has to go here and spend 5, he's going to put the 5 back. He doesn't just keep accumulating them. And the last thing he's going to do, which is beneficial to you as a solo player, is he's going to destroy 1 farm and 1 ship from these boards here. So he always looks to the highest stack. So if one is higher than the rest, he'll destroy that top one. Or if there is a tie, he always takes the leftmost one of the highest stack. This way you just get through these tiles a little bit more. Otherwise, if you didn't like, say, the 3 ships that were up here, there's no way for you to move them or shuffle them up unless you buy one. And we've already established that you don't want any of them. So that is that. Now, last but not least, let's talk about end game scoring. So, like I mentioned before, most of your VP are going to come from this negotiations board as well as your contracts. So, my recommendation is to download the free Garfield Games Companion app, and it has a way to track your score, end game score, in the app for free, and it prompts you with what you need to be looking for. But in case you don't want to use that app, let's just go through what you need to look for. You're going to look to VP. So everywhere you have a die over here, you gain the matching VP. So you add up all that VP. Next, you're going to look to your filled contracts card. So all the ones that you filled, ones in your hand that you didn't fulfill, give you nothing. All right, so in this case, I would get 7 additional VP. But say I had filled up one like this, now I get 4 plus an additional 2, and say I had been able to get 3 dice out here in the Larian faction, I would get an additional 6. So this would be a 10-point card. Okay, so negotiations board, completed contracts. Then you're going to look to your harvesters. Hopefully at this point you have made it to a harvester, and let's just say flip this one over. And if this is the one you made it to, you're going to get 4 points. Okay, your harvester has to end the game on top of it. And they're only flipped over during that last round. Okay, so negotiations board, fulfilled contracts, harvester, your personal board next. So you'll notice that there's VP printed here on the board. Whichever one of these is the first one from the left that is uncovered is the VP you're going to get. So if you didn't put down any new ships, you would get 1 VP. If you only put down 1 laboratory and filled up this space, you would get 2. If, however, you fill up every ship space and every laboratory space, you're going to get 8 and 7. All right, you don't get to add these up. You only get the furthest left one that's uncovered. All right, and then last but not least, any gems that you may have is worth a point each for both you and the AI. All right, so that is how you score as a human player. For the most part, the bot scores the same way, but again, the biggest difference between the easy bot and the insane bot is the end game scoring. That's how they differentiate them for the most part. And so this area right here is always reserved for how the bot scores at the end of the game, this particular bot. So on the negotiations board, it's going to be the numbers same as humans, equal to where they're at. For the depository, since they're not actually playing these cards, they're going to get 1 point per pip. So say they have 3 6s out here, that's 18 points. All right, that's not how the easy one works, but that's how standard on up works. Okay, if they ended, which they are going to, wherever they end their harvester on, they're going to gain those points. They get 2 points again. Remember, we flipped these over and they have 2 points on the back. They're going to count those up. 1 point per gem, just like us. And the last thing is, I haven't flipped these over yet, but let's see. There is this yellow one that's always at the bottom. And this just happens to be 3 or 6 blue ones. So these cards come in 2 colors, the yellow ones and the blue ones. I believe, are they yellow? Let's get one. No, they're kind of orangish. So orange and blue. The blue ones are the beneficial ones. These are the ones that give you a positive bonus. The orange ones, for example, this one says discard 1 contract card after harvesting or move back 1 space on the planet. These are negative. So since I was getting a positive bonus for every blue card that came up, what we need to do is go through, count up the number of blue cards. In this instance, it would be 6. And the AI gets a point per blue card. So if I played a total of 6 blue cards, the AI would get 6 additional points. At that point, you compare points. Highest one wins. Pretty simple. So if you're playing multiplayer, everybody counts up points the same way. If you're playing against the AI, you count up your points a standard way, and then you go over here and count up his points based on his difficulty level. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you store away, set up, and play Circadians First Light. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you have stuck with me this long, I thank you greatly. I'm very impressed. I know this has gone on long. I covered a lot of stuff in here, but hopefully it has done you guys some good. If you're a visual learner or you don't like reading rule books in particular, hopefully this helped you out. Last but not least, again, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. It does wonders for the channel, and please come back and watch another video. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.